So there's something I feel I need to say because I was thinking about it in the car. Um, the thing about it is I at one point, well, I was in the military, and I know most of my little rants usually kind of involve more heavy on like fathers with equal rights and grievances with the family court system, and it still kind of is there, but I would consider myself a conservative. I think divorce basically made me very, very conservative because what I used to believe before was, equal rights for men and women, most likely for women, because it seemed like there was a lot of work to be done to make sure that women did have equal rights. So I was a big advocate, at least until like 18 to 20 to about 35, I would suppose. I guess that when I started feeling the pressure of my divorce, where it's like I'm not really I'm not really a fair citizen. I'm not really, I'm more, as a man, I feel like I'm kind of a second class citizen, simply because when I was trying to get a job, I realized that it was really hard for me to get a job, and I wanted to, I could blame it on it's called diversity hires, because what I was trying to do when I was in my 30s was basically try to get hired as a game tester or a game developer, and most of my female classmates were getting jobs like that, and we mainly were thinking it was like because it was because of diversity hires, because most of the time when you picture a gaming company, you think of like, well, there's mostly guys, and you don't see a lot of girls there, or you might see one or two. So the need for the diversity hire to equal things out didn't seem like it was very fair, because I felt like I was a skilled developer, and but I wasn't a woman, so I wouldn't get hired. And I always thought that was really unfair. But and that's when I was thinking, I was like, well, this isn't fair. I can't get a job. The only jobs I can get like was security because of my military background, and uh, and that was basically it. I mean, everything I went to school for was basically nothing, but my military experience was basically why I was able to get any job. And and the weird thing about it was, his interviewers were mostly impressed by the fact that I had served for 6.5 years, and like they didn't care about my education in Coleman or what I can do on C plus or Unity or Photoshop. So I mean, military was definitely one of those things. But um, yeah, like I said, it wasn't until I was like 35 that I started thinking that, maybe things aren't exactly equal across the board, because it seems like the jobs that I want to get, they're always taken by women. But I could have done some other job. I could have been a garbage man. I could have been a landscaper. I could have been an electrician. I could have been a plumber. Um, I didn't want to work fast food. That was one thing I didn't want to do. I mean, I could have worked at a grocery store. Those are all things that I that would require me to do things because I have a strong body, and I've had a strong body for a really long time. Um, but yeah, the thing about it is the reason why I'm bringing this up is obviously, I've said before, I think that the family court system isn't fair, and I don't know if I brought up population issues, but the population issues feels like it's partially the fault of the family court system, because more than 50% of marriages end in divorce, and there are factors that bring up that statistic, like if the woman is educated, if the woman is has already had kids, how many past relationships he's had. These statistics will go up. Like, with basically what it is if you're a virgin on your wedding night, your chances of of having a marriage all the way until one of you die is still 50%, and the likelihood of you getting divorced goes up as she has more partners, as she gets more educated, and I I didn't know these statistics before I got divorced, but these were things that I started realizing, and I started thinking it's like as where things go as far as family court is concerned, it's not fair. A man has to keep proving he's innocent. He's guilty until proven innocent, and after repeated times of having to go to court, having to spend money, having to get documents um, written in my favor, it's like I can't. I mean, I still have this restraining order over me because of what I did in Iraq, and and even though that's not fair, I wouldn't trade my past experiences in the military for anything. But part of my past experiences in the military was my interactions with the Muslim people, with people from Iraq, people from the Middle East. And when I was overseas, like I said, I strong like up until like mid 30s, I believed that this was the kind of society that needed to be liberated. A woman being forced to wear a veil, live out in this desert, it it never seemed fair to me. And so when I was over there and I was sitting there with my gun, I would be thinking, I was like, these are the people I'm trying to liberate. These are the people that I want to help. And every single time I saw a woman in a grocery store without a veil, or a barber without a veil, um, I was thinking, I was like, she doesn't have to wear a veil, so um, what I'm doing is good. And so as a person who has been basically liberal most of his adult life, I like I said, it wasn't just the divorce that turned me into a conservative. But if I was still married and I hadn't gotten divorced, this would have definitely made me go conservative. This would definitely made me go conservative. The fact of the matter, the liberals apparently are siding with the Muslims. They're siding with the Muslim community, and I like I don't know if I haven't been to any marches, and since my ex-wife, if I was still married to her, I would probably be there protesting those ICE protests, because my ex-wife, she was an illegal immigrant, and some of her friends are still illegal immigrants, and some of her families are still illegal immigrants, and she still basically helps some of these illegal immigrants get jobs under the table. And I would have been all for ICE saying, don't take away my family, don't take away my friends, because they're still people. But at this point, I'm like, no, just take them, because they come here, they come here, they get married, they take jobs, they take away tax-paying dollars from our schools and our freeways and our constructions, and that's basically how I see things now. So I'm for ICE. I'm for getting all these people out. I'm for getting them all deported, and it might come from a bitterness of being divorced by a woman who was an illegal immigrant and is currently making my life a living hell by having full custody of my ex of my son, and having a restraining order under false pretenses of abuse, but because of my mental condition over in Iraq, that's the reason why the restraining order is permanent, and why it's been permanent for the past 3 years. And I don't. I know I'm trying really hard to get custody, but yeah, it's like this is like I said. There's definitely a level of inequality when it comes to men as far as the legal system is concerned. So I'm just I'm basically in this strange place where it's like when I find out that the people with liberal views have sided with people of the Muslim faith, and they're all for immigrants, and they're all for letting these people come into their houses because they're illegal immigrants, and liberals, they want legal immigrants, and they'll they'll protest up and down. It's like we were all legal immigrants at one point, and but I don't think you understand. It's like, well, I would think that you would understand what these illegal immigrants would be are bringing to the country. These are values that I have fought wholeheartedly for. And I don't know, it kind of feels like a betrayal, um, as far as libertarianism is concerned, because when I was a liberal, I wholeheartedly believed that these were that the Muslim people, more specifically speaking, the Muslim women need to be liberated. And now I'm finding like the liberals that I used to believe in are now siding with the Muslims. I was like, what? That doesn't make any sense. I was like, why would you side for these people? They want to put you in a veil. I spent 3 years fighting these people so you could be free. I spent 3 years in combat zones because I thought that that's what Democrats wanted, and I was wholeheartedly proud as a Democrat, to say that I'm over here helping these people, and I come home, and for a long time that's what it was. It was like, um, Republicans and Democrats, regardless of what belief they had, whether they believed, no blood for oil, or liberate these women, or um, like you ask, like, well, how much torture is a soldier's blood worth? And so yeah, that was like, it seemed like I was doing the right thing, regardless of what political beliefs you had in the early 2000s. And so, like, yeah, it feels like a little bit of a betrayal. It's like you want equal rights for men, for women, for anything in between, and yet you let these people. It's like these people will kill you. These people will put you in a veil. These people will cut off your head and record it and show it to your family and said, if you don't convert, this is what's going to happen to you. And it's like, what? And for the sake of illegal immigrants, is like letting people from different cultures come in. This is not a culture. This is a cancer. And when I was overseas, I would think to myself, it kind of made sense that the Muslim faith kind of gravitated toward this place, because when you're outside and you're in that 120 heat, you would be saying to yourself, like, why would anyone want to live here? It's like, they come to this place where there's farmers, and I think the only thing you can really raise is goats, um, and camels. I was like, why would you want to live here? And the Muslim faith, even the tyrannicism of bin Laden and Saddam Hussein, it made sense when you're over there, because how else are you supposed to get people to work? How else are you supposed to get families to function when they are in that stifling heat? I was like, you just can't. You won't survive, because there's too many. There's camel spiders. It's like there are lizards. There are scorpions. There's locusts. Everything everything there is like hazardous, and you can't get water unless it's given to you. So if you are not keeping your family inside your house, if you're not keeping your woman under a veil, I don't really understand how you survive. And I personally think that religions are basically products of environment, of trying to find um, a level of equilibrium, equilibrium, equilibrium with the environment. So if you're living in a place where uh, you know where it's like you have all 5 seasons, like, yeah, Christianity makes sense. If things are comfortable, it's like you don't you don't need a religion. Like if you live in Southern California where you have no seasons, where it's basically you don't even need a religion. You can be whatever you want because there's you don't need the structure to survive that a religion would probably bring. But yeah, Muslim faith, um, whole it came to my conclusions when I got divorced and I was like maybe what all those people were saying was right because over there it sucks. How do you survive? You can't survive with Christian faith uh, in Iraq. You can't anywhere in the Middle East because it's just you are you are basically going to be sitting there expecting manna to fall from the sky. It's from Exodus, by the way, uh, just to eat. And but yeah, but if you live in suburbia, uh, like Charlie Kirk, his entire life, it's like yeah, the Christian faith made sense to him, and it made sense. It made sense to me that it made sense to him. Uh, but it's like I lived with my my parents were drug addicts, and my dad was a biker, and so her converting to the Christian faith made sense to her and made sense to us. And in all actuality, me and my brothers we've never been to jail, and it's partially because even though we don't all believe in the Christian faith, we are still kind of shaped by the values because we've been going. We our mother basically forced us to go to church most of our childhood. Like I don't go to church very often, um, and it doesn't make sense to me. But probably because I live here. If I lived in suburbia or I lived in a place where I had no community, I would probably gravitate toward the church because I need something that's going to open me up socially. And because if you can't be social, then you're probably not going to be a productive human being. So a place to go every Sunday, talk to your community, talk to people, listen to a sermon about the values you should have. It makes sense because you're not going to get that when you walk outside your house in suburbia and try to talk to kids or parents or people in school. And but yeah, I was like Southern California is completely different. You can go to a bar, you can go to a club, you can you know join a community group on the internet. You can join D&D. There is there's going to be a community for you. But yeah, the Muslim faith, oh, it's bad. It's really bad, and it just like you want it. The libertarianism basically are saying he's like we need to let illegal immigrants because it diversifies our community. But man, it's like no, the Muslim faith is not a culture; it's a cancer, and it worked over in the desert. But now, and this is what it's got me thinking: is like we liberated Iraq, we liberated uh, the refugees where they were living under the tyrannical rule of Saddam Hussein, who mustard gassed them. And I don't know what Bin Laden might have done. I mean, obviously he takes some responsibility toward 9/11, but it's like yeah, it's like I don't I don't think he was really a ruler or a tyrant. Then again, I could be wrong. So I just knew that Bin Laden was bad, and he there was a huge bounty on his head for a long time, and he still hasn't been caught. But yeah, Bin Laden, um, he's I don't even know what he did really. But yeah, Saddam Hussein was bad. He killed people. So what I'm yeah, it doesn't make sense. So yeah, it's like I said, I feel betrayed by the liberal views that they want to integrate the Muslim faith because it's practically utterly insane to me. Like, you don't know what these people will do to you. And they're coming in and they are spouting, I don't even want to say it's nonsense. And I know a lot of conservatives like, well, if they want to bring war, let's bring it. But I want you to look at the math. And part of the reasons why I'm here is not just to echo what they're saying. I'm here to bring something that that you should consider, because I wouldn't be here ranting about this for 20 minutes if I didn't have anything different to say that I haven't been seeing on the internet already. The thing about it is you I don't need to tell you that the family court is corrupted, and it's partially responsible for the reasons why our population is declining. But the Muslim faith, well, the Muslims that are coming over to Europe, to France, to Germany, to America, they average out about 2.6 children per household. And that is not what we have. So they are built like, if you're thinking about going to war with these people, today, sure, we could win. Tomorrow, we can win maybe a week, maybe a year from now. But the thing about it is, the average American is having 1.4 children per household. American people, they're saying, we don't want to have kids because we get screwed over by the family court, and that's it. It was like, it's expensive enough to have one kid, and have one kid with the wrong kind of woman. But the Muslim faith, they're having two or more. And that 10 years from now is going to make a huge difference. Now let's not forget, because this is what I'm trying to say is, I can already tell you that the Muslim faith is a terrifying life for a woman, for children, for somebody like me who believes what he believes, and also believes that I should fight for those equal rights. Fight for the fact that if I had a daughter, that she can may or may not be married at 10 years old. I don't need to tell you that these things are bad, but I want you to look at the math. You have a group of people that is already having more kids. You have a group of people that are okay with impregnating a 10-year-old. They are, and as disgusting as that is, look at the math. Look at the open window that the Muslim people have to procreate. And look at the level of intelligence a 10-year-old girl has at 10 years old. Do you think that someone that impregnated them and is telling them to wear a veil, do you think they're going to question it? You think they're intelligent enough? You're not intelligent enough to do anything. And when you're sitting there with a baby, and you're sitting there with a certain level of influence, how susceptible you are of influence at 10 years old, you're going to have a kid. And you're not going to argue. You can say you're scared, but if your parents and now your husband are saying, no, you need to get naked and you need to have sex and you need to have children at 10 years old and all throughout, you, by the way, you'll probably be a grandmother at 21. I mean, yes, but look at the math. Look how often a person could have children. Because what the Muslim faith are doing right now is they are building their foundation. They are building a foundation of a group of people, a population that is going to outdo us in 10 years. And in 10 years, if they keep having a level of people in their faith that are outnumbering us by double or more, 10 years from now, we won't be able to stop them. We won't be able, I mean, regardless of if you're liberal or you're conservative, these the Muslim people do not care. And right now, if 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 they're really having 2 to 6 kids and they're impregnating girls at 10 years old, 10 years from now, they're gonna outnumber you. And they will attack and they will kill you. And if you do not convert over to their faith, you're dead. Like we could end them tomorrow. We could end them. I mean, it would be extremely inhumane, and there would be issues in the news, and they might retaliate. But they're already saying today that the Muslim faith needs to be in every single faith. And as stupid and as unlikely as you think that is, the fact of the matter is we have societies that are dying out because nobody wants to have kids. But guess what? The Muslims, they do. They want to have kids. They are having kids. And they are having kids at 10 years old. So their window of when they can procreate is a lot smaller. Yes, morally wise, but just look at the math. I just want you to look at the math and realize that the math is in their favor. 10 years from now, the math will be greatly in their favor. And all these things that you're thinking today, that's like, oh, they're just going out. It's like, it's not like they're actually going to do that. It's not like these people can actually, even though these people have these beliefs that don't make sense because they want to integrate the Muslim faith into the American people. Yeah, you think it's ridiculous. You think it's stupid. Like, yeah, how are you going to do that? 10 years from now, when they outnumber you 3-1, oh, it's going to happen. It won't just be something ridiculous. It'll be close. And they know it. The thing about it is they know it. I don't know if they've crunched numbers already or just completely based on faith, but the numbers are there. The numbers won't lie. Because we don't want to have kids because we're screwing over our citizens with the family court system. We're basically saying if you procreate, you go to jail, or you pay, or you lose 1/4 of your income, or you lose half of your income if you have more than one. That's what our society is doing. And our women are basically saying, well, if you don't want to have kids, don't have sex. Yeah, the average American is losing their virginity at 40 and 30. Sorry, 30. It's 30. So men aren't having sex. Women are having sex. And they're getting abortions too. So, and you know what? The Muslim faith, they don't believe in abortions. They believe in getting married. They believe in keeping the family structure together with a gun and with a fist and with a rock. They're saying you better act right or we're going to kill you. And someone holding your life in the balance is definitely a way they can motivate you. And I would say that it doesn't work long term, but women are very easily influenced, and that level of vulnerability, I think, is in our government is partially the reason why I think that America has these laws that favor women so much, is because America wants a society where men are all individuals. They won't come together. They won't do anything together, and the women are with their kids. So we have a bunch of men who are financially crippled, and we have a bunch of women who are physically weak. That makes basically every citizen under a certain level of vulnerability so the government can easily influence us. However, the Muslim faith isn't like that. They are building a strong foundation. And if we are going to go to war with Muslims, if they really start pushing their faith on us, our foundation will be so weak that we will lose. And I know it sounds crazy right now, but I really, the numbers when you compare it to the family court, when you compare it to the family court and you compare it to the Muslim faith, the numbers don't lie, and everything they're threatening will likely come into fruition if we don't change things today. If we don't motivate our non-Muslim people to have kids, we're losing. And yeah, and I don't know if that's a life that you want. I don't know if that's a life that liberals want. I know it's something that conservatives don't want, but that's what's coming. And as motivated as most conservatives are to pick up a gun and say let's go fight for our rights so that our children aren't indoctrinated into the Muslim faith, so we don't have to watch our daughters be stoned, don't have to watch our daughters be married at 10 years old. The conservatives, they're willing to fight. They're willing to fight. They're willing to put boots on the ground to make sure that this doesn't happen. But the way things are with the average Joe, with the average person not wanting to have kids, not wanting to have sex, not wanting to deal with a family court, Muslims don't have to deal with that. Muslims don't have to deal with family court. They keep their families together, and they start them 10 years after a woman is a child, a female is born. So they're capable. And there's a part of me that thinks that the reason why liberal women have been gravitating toward the Muslim faith is, well, they for a long time they've sat there and they believed that they deserve to get into sex work. Sex work is still work. As far as education is concerned. There's a part of me that sits there and thinks that, I think the reason why a lot of liberals have gravitated toward the Muslim faith is because Muslims will actually take these porn stars and OnlyFans girls, and they'll say, "We'll forgive you. Just wear the veil. Wear the veil, and you'll find yourself a husband." And that's what they're promising. They're saying that whatever you did before you converted is forgiven. And it doesn't make sense to me. Like, if you have your ass out on the internet, I don't think even a lot of Christians will even think that it's like you're kind of, redemption is not really possible. At least in my eyes, I was like, if you've been a porn star for like 20 years and you tried to come into my life and saying it's like, and let's say I did make $100,000 a year and I had I was six pack, 6 figures, 6 feet. I'm already 6 feet, but I don't make 6 figures yet. But yeah, it's just like, now you want a porn star girl. It doesn't make any sense to me. But if you're Muslim, apparently, if you convert to Muslim, they'll forgive everything, and they'll say, "We'll find you a husband." And partially, I think what they don't know, what a lot of these women don't realize is, yeah, you'll find yourself a husband among 2 to 20 different wives. Technically, they're keeping their promises, but there's a part of me that thinks that there's a level of grooming that happens to these former adult film stars that are converting over. It makes me think, I was like, well, yes, I want a husband. I was like, well, since you know so much about our faith, the kind of husband that you're gonna get is going to be a 4th, 5th, or 20 wife, and you'll have kids, and you'll have a family, and you'll be part of a community. And I guess women like being part of the community. They're very communicative, but I really feel like that's what the Muslim faith is basically telling our women that can't get married. They're saying convert, and you will find yourself a husband. You'll just be sharing them with the 20 other women. And I guess in all actuality, that kind of makes sense. But I don't know. It's like, as a conservative, I don't feel that's right. But I don't know. It's like, it doesn't seem right. But I just don't know how desperate a former adult film star, a former OnlyFans girl, feels about being someone else's fourth, fifth, or 20th wife to some Muslim that's going to make them wear a veil. It doesn't make sense to me. But I guess when you become isolated, when you can't get a husband and your biological clock is ticking, I can't. I'm trying to feel a sense of empathy for someone who can't get married because but that's just not my reality. I don't know what it's like to make 10 million, 10 million, or a solid $2 million a month by showing my body off. That's not something I know what is like. Um, if somebody wanted to see me naked for $10,000, or or even a solid million a month, I don't know. There's part of me that thinks that I would take it, but I would be trading my dignity for money, and who knows? I might just be seen as like homosexual, uh, and that's another thing. Like these people don't, the Muslims don't accept homosexuality, so I would be in danger probably. But yeah, it's like I guess women are more redeemable. But yeah, I'm just like the Muslim faith. I think it's coming. I think the things that they're saying, as wrong as you think it is, as terrible as you think their values are, as taboo as one could imagine your life would be if you were a Muslim, it's coming. And I don't picture our government, I don't picture our people doing anything to stop them. I know it's a bit of a doomer mindset, but how are you going to stop these people? You're not, because we're too busy fighting among ourselves. We're too busy. It's about Democrats and Republicans and immigrants and all this shit. We're not going to. We are fighting among ourselves, and the Muslims are going to get stronger. And it won't just be 9/11. It won't just be Iraq. They're already here, and they're spreading like a cancer. And nobody, I don't think anyone even at this point has the intestinal fortitude to tell them to stop, because I've actually been there, and I fought them on their home turf, and they will not stop. They won't. Yeah, they're coming. Everything that they're saying sounds ridiculous, but I've seen it before. They're coming. They're already here. And their faith, their values, you think it's funny? You think that they're not going to be able to convert our people over? Trust me, they're already winning. They're already getting speed that you won't even acknowledge. But yeah, they're coming. And you should be afraid. Or you should convert, because they're coming.